Hello, sports fans, and welcome to this Sunday edition of Jake's Hot Takes. I am your host, the one and only Jake McVey. Come on, if you're watching the show at this point, you know what's going on. Let's get right into it. Big, exciting news for the Knicks. After all of my belly aching these last couple weeks, the Knicks have finally settled down and found themselves a new head coach in the form of Mr. Mike Brown. Now, I'm just going to get my feelings on this signing out of the way immediately. I love this hiring for New York. I think Mike Brown is going to fit in New York phenomenally. Of course, Mike Brown, two-time head coach of the year in Cleveland and in Sacramento. He won in 2009 in Cleveland and in 2023 in Sacramento. He's also been the head coach for Cleveland twice and Sacramento and the LA Lakers. So this guy has a lot of experience head coaching. He has a lot of experience, being that accredited award-winning head coach. And I kind of love what Mike Brown is all about. Not to mention he has the championship experience, being an assistant coach for one ring in 2003 with the San Antonio Spurs and 3 rings with the Golden State Warriors as an assistant coach in 2017, 2018, and 2022. So this guy knows what it's like to be in that head coach position and to excel at his position. He knows what it's like to win a championship. He knows what it takes in terms of roster construction and in terms of the mentality that you need to bring, coaching under Steve Kerr. And now he's bringing his talents to New York, and like I said, I couldn't be more excited. I think aside from Mike Malone, Mike Brown was one of the guys that was very high up on my list of guys that I would like to have as head coach of this team. And I'm just going to go over a few of the things that I'm hoping to see as a change from Tom Thibodeau to Mike Brown. First of all, I'm hoping that the starters' minutes issue can be addressed, because this was something that caused a lot of distress throughout the team, throughout the franchise, throughout the fan base. Everyone was stressing about those Thibodeau minutes. Of course, guys like Mikal Bridges were very vocal about it, but, there were even some underlying reports that guys like Brunson and Anunoby and Towns also weren't happy with the intensity of the minutes that they were being made to play every night. And in some cases, it just didn't even make sense to have the starters out on the court. I mean, the most obvious example, I believe it was either game 3 or game 4 of the Boston Celtics series, where we were just creaming these guys and we were up by a big amount, and Towns is still in the game, and Boston has brought out all of their bums, all their scrubs. They basically went like 15 deep that night. And for some reason, Towns is still on the court, and he's still playing, and he's still potentially risking harm to his body. And that was one of the situations. When I saw that, something clicked in my head. I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. So I'm hoping that Mike Brown will have a little bit more of a situational mind, and he'll understand the necessity to take guys off the court, especially in cases of big wins or big losses. Look, if we're down by 25 points in the fourth quarter and things are not looking good for us, I have no problem pulling our guys. I don't need our guys to finish out a game like that. If we're just getting creamed and the team is basically rolled over, I have no problem with giving the guys the rest. In the playoffs, that's unacceptable, but in the regular season, I'm perfectly fine with that. And Tibbs didn't necessarily seem to have that mentality. It came up big for the Knicks down the stretch because, they were able to overcome some pretty big deficits, but during the regular season, the mentality of it ain't over till it's over is going to get somebody hurt. So that is the main thing, obviously the minutes concern. But what I'm really hoping for is that there's not too much of a culture change in terms of hard work and accountability and things like that. I think we have seen out of guys like Brunson, team leaders, that this team thrives when everybody is fully on board with the team and is willing to, really throw their weight around for this team. I'll take a guy like Campaign, who was a phenomenal culture piece for us. He got very limited minutes throughout the season, but he really did try and make the most of every opportunity he was given, whether it be putting his body on the line for a big defensive play, whether it be trusting his instincts to make a big three-point shot. Campaign and Jalen Brunson are probably the two guys that I think exemplify the team culture that I want the best. Incredibly hardworking, incredibly dynamic, willing to put their bodies and their livelihoods, their life on the line for this. And that is something that I think Thibodeau was actually a big part of instilling that kind of culture. So I'm hoping that is some momentum that Mike Brown can keep moving forward. The last thing is, Mike Brown has been known to publicly criticize his players throughout his head coach tenure. And that is some energy that I'm hoping he brings here. I am perfectly fine with Mike Brown going up after a press conference or after a game and being like, it was a good night, but Towns was a traffic cone on defense. Like, obviously, I don't want him to phrase it like that because the New York media will completely eat that up. But I think having a coach who is willing to publicly criticize his own players is healthy for the team because it means that there is a sense of accountability. And especially in New York, you don't want that media on you. You don't want Coach Brown saying anything bad about you. So you got to make sure you're on your A game 24/7. And look, obviously bad games happen, but if it's a consistent issue like we saw across the playoffs with Towns' defensive effort down the stretch, like, that is something that I think should be publicly criticized. I think it's okay to do that. Just because we're all a team here doesn't mean that I say we like I'm on the team. Just because they're all a team there doesn't mean that these guys are immune to criticism or that they shouldn't be criticized for poor play. I don't care that we're paying Towns a lot of money. I don't care that he's a very important piece to this team. If he's not going to be putting in the necessary effort to win defensively, then I think that he should be criticized for that at the very least. But anyway, that's Mike Brown for you. I'm incredibly excited about his signing or his hiring. Sorry, I got signings on the mind because next we're talking about these two phenomenal offseason signings that I'm really excited about. Oh, man. I got my wish. I don't think we're trading for Giannis, which means that this offseason was focused on bolstering the bench. And I think these two acquisitions did a phenomenal job in adding exactly what we need. The first of which being Jordan Clarkson, got bought out by the Jazz out of his contract, which means that he is free to go wherever he wants. Previous sixth man of the year in 2021, and he averages 16, 3, and 3. And although he did have career low shooting splits with the Jazz, playing for Utah will do that to you. All right. I'm not gonna sit here and criticize Mr. Clarkson very much because playing for Utah will do that to you. He also did have some injuries. He only played 37 games last year. I'll say it again. Playing for Utah will do that to you. No, this guy, Jordan Clarkson, I kind of see him as an upgrade to Deuce McBride, but it's less of like a Deuce is on the back burner now and more of like a Deuce can occupy a role that makes him feel more comfortable on the team. Deuce McBride is not a ball handler. In no way, shape, or form is Deuce McBride a ball handler. But in many situations last year, he was occupying that point guard role where he needed to, handle the ball and be able to facilitate an offense. And I just don't think that he has the ball handling skills to do that. And Jordan Clarkson absolutely does. This guy can handle the ball. He's pretty good at dribbling. He can come downhill. He can find an open lane. Not an incredible passer, but he can absolutely put a defense kind of on their heels in a situation with his ball handling. Not to mention the potential for, contested three-point shots. There's a lot that goes into the role that Clarkson can play for the team. So overall, I think that Jordan Clarkson is going to be occupying the role that Deuce occupied last year in the sense of he's going to be a spark off the bench guy. He's going to be able to handle the ball. We're going to be able to trust this guy to dribble around the ball for a while, unlike Deuce, who was very prone to mistakes. And I love Deuce, and I love the energy that he brought for the team. I love what he brings, but a ball handler he was not. And Clarkson patches up that kind of lack of ball handling we had off the bench, because that was something that I noticed across the entire playoffs, was that Jalen Brunson is basically the only guy that we have that can reliably handle the ball like that. I mean, obviously, Towns would get it on the downhill sometimes. Mikal Bridges would get it on the downhill sometimes, but overall, we did not have a lot of guys that were very skilled at keeping the ball in motion and drawing the defense into a position where they can do something with it. And the role that I'm hoping that Deuce occupies moving forward is just a catch and shoot guy. I think that's always where Deuce has looked his best, where you get the defense stirred up a little bit, you get him going. Deuce kind of gets lost in the fray. He's a smaller guy. He can find the gap in the space and he can get himself open and he can get himself available. And when the moment is right, he can absolutely knock down that big time three. That's exactly what we need him to do. I don't need Deuce to be the primary facilitator. I don't need him to keep all these boys in line. I just need Deuce to be able to score a 3-point shot off the bench, and I just need Deuce to be able to get up and make a big-time block like he did on Derek White. I'm still thinking about that block, man. He's 6'2". How did he get up that high? Seriously, somebody please explain it to me. And I just need Deuce to, because, part of it is like I love Deuce's energy, but it looked like it discouraged him when he made mistakes while handling the ball. And that's not something that I want to see. So hopefully we'll keep him in rhythm. It'll keep the energy flowing. He'll be feeling good. And I think Jordan Clarkson is a phenomenal addition, not only in it himself, but the impact that he can have on these other guys. Which leads me to, please forgive me for this, Gershon Yabusele, who we snagged from the Philadelphia 76ers. Hey, Sixers fans, we got your guy. Ha ha. No, it was expected that Yabusele was going to be signing with the 76ers again, but he came to New York instead, probably because he wants to win a championship and he doesn't want to be playing alongside a giant man who is also made of glass. Looking at you, Joel Embiid. We got Yabusele on a 2-year, $12 million deal. It is not a big contract whatsoever. I am perfectly fine with the minimal financial impact and the 2 years that we get out of Yabusele. I'm pretty excited. He looked great playing for the French national team last summer. Even had a big time block or a big time dunk on LeBron, which, even though he's 40, even though he's turning 41, not necessarily easy to do. That guy's an athlete. I don't know if you ever heard of him, LeBron James. He's an athlete. Yabusele got a big dunk on him, so I'm pretty excited for that. That energy. He shoots 50% from the field. Granted, he is on a pretty low volume. Like, he doesn't shoot the ball nearly as much as other guys. These are his stats from last year on Philly, by the way. He shot 50% from the field and shot 38% from three. So, we might have a couple surprise big man threes getting knocked down like a right Karl Anthony Towns. So he brings a lot of diversity in terms of the kind of offensives, the type of offensive looks you can get out of him. He can play closer to the basket. He can play on the perimeter. You just don't exactly trust him to go from the perimeter to the basket or vice versa. I don't know if I necessarily trust his ball handling skills like that, which is fine. We don't need, we got Clarkson, we got Brunson, Campaign on occasion. So we have guys that can handle the ball. What he brings that is most important, in my opinion, is rim protection. This is a big dude that we're talking about. I don't know his exact, I think he's like 6'8" and like, I don't know. He's around 6'8", 6'9", big guy, and he can bring a lot in terms of his rim protecting skills. I think he'll be a great answer to some of the guys that were a little too shifty for a guy like Mitch or Cat to keep up with, but a little too big and strong for a guy like Brunson or Josh Hart to keep up with. Granted, Josh Hart can guard anyone on the court. Don't get me wrong, but I'm liking what I'm seeing out of the Knicks this free agency. They're being really aggressive with their moves. They're collecting these guys. We got some bench depth. I think New York's going to be in really good shape. When we get back, we're going to be talking about a crazy situation with Damian Lillard. Make sure you stick around. You're not going to want to miss it. Jake's Hot Takes, WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. We'll be right back after this.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to wayneswaycabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and talk to Wayne today. You'll be glad you did.
Your life relies on power all day, every day. With summer upon us, weather-related storms and power outages disrupt your home life, work life, and more. Don't be left in the dark. Call Essentia Power Systems, your local Generac automatic standby power dealer, protecting your family, home, and business. Already have a Generac? Ask about maintenance and monitors. Call Mike, the generator guy, for a free estimate. 845-227-0514. Online, EssentialPowerGenerators.com. Never be powerless. Get Generac by Essential Power Systems.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, what's the average amount of time for clothes to dry?
We've had customers call us up and they're timing their dryer, drying one shirt, and they can't understand why it takes an hour and a half for that one shirt to dry. If you're using an auto dry cycle, the sensors are never being touched by that one article of clothing. So consequently, it takes forever for the dryer to realize that things are done. Today, newer dryers, generally speaking, it's an hour, 70, 80, 90 minutes. It's not because we're burning tons of fuel. It's because we're using much less. Much lower temperature in the dryer overall, longer tumbling action. That helps to prevent wrinkles, and people are used to a 20-minute cycle drying. Those days are over. You know, we used to make it very hot in the dryer and dry them very quickly. And of course, people have forgotten that then their clothes fit a Cabbage Patch doll when that happens.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
Your engine is a delicate instrument. But if you don't change the oil on a regular basis, things have a tendency to go wrong. That's why this news should be music to your ears. Because now at the Newburgh Auto Spa, you can get a free car wash with every oil change. That's right, a free car wash with every oil change.
Really?
Really. Stop into their state-of-the-art facility today and find out what quality maintenance is all about. We all need to get oil changes, so why not get a free car wash to go along with it? And while you're at it, take advantage of their 15-point vehicle inspection free of charge. That should leave you on a very happy note. Newburgh Auto Spa, located at 86 Route 17K in Newburgh. For more information, call 845-567-0009, 845-567-0009, or go online to newburghautospa.com. That's newburghautospa.com. Newburgh Auto Spa. Quick, convenient, clean.
Welcome back. It's Jake's Hot Takes. Things are getting crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Things are getting crazy in the NBA. We're getting some of that post-season nonsense, some of this insanity that's going on. And I think that this insanity, this postseason insanity, is nowhere better exemplified than out in Milwaukee, because what are those guys cooking right now? For those of you who haven't heard, the Bucks signed former Indiana Pacer Miles Turner, also enemy of the show. If you know, you know. Miles Turner is soft. So Bucks signed Miles Turner to a 4-year, 107. Geez, wow, could you imagine? $107 million deal at the cost of previous Milwaukee Buck, Damian Lillard. You might have also heard of this guy as a Portland Trailblazer. They decided that they were going to buy out Dame over the next 5 years. They were going to buy him out of his contract so that they would have the money to pay Miles Turner. And now, over the next 5 years, the Bucks are paying $22 million to a guy who is not even going to play for them. This move kind of comes as like a win now situation where they know Giannis isn't happy and they know that the team is kind of at a crucial crux right now. That's a big crossroad where they can either sell out Giannis, trade out Giannis, and receive a huge potential reimbursement, or they can continue to try and build around Giannis with the slightly unfortunate roster that they do have around them right now. The fact that Damian Lillard got waived and Kyle Kuzma is still on the team, I think says everything that you need to know about the Bucks situation right now. So the Bucks are going to be paying $22 million to a guy that is not even going to play for them. Damian Lillard, of course, sustained an injury late last season, and it looks like he is going to be unavailable for the entirety of the 2025-2026 season. But in reality, in reality, this might actually be a best case scenario for Lillard. Let me explain. Dame could literally sit on his couch for the next 5 years and do nothing, and he's still making $22 million a year. But he's not going to do that. Lillard has expressed that he wants to take the 25-26 season to rehabilitate. He's not going to try and push himself back into an early return. And he's not even going to commit to what team he's going to play for next until he is fully recovered. He wants to take a step back, take a year to himself, get a little paid vacation, little $22 million vacation year, and scope out the state of the league at the end of next season. And then he can decide wherever he wants to go. It's not going to be a financial burden on whatever team decides to sign him unless that team is really dumb. Because Dame is already making $22 million over the next 5 years. I'm going to keep on saying this number because I don't think we're all really grasping how crazy this is. I mean, you can fact check me on this, but I believe I was reading some articles about this, and I should have written it down, but I believe the largest NBA contract buyout before Damian Lillard was like $21 million total. So Dame is getting paid over the next 5 years more than the largest NBA contract buyout, which I might have completely read that wrong. Like I said, I didn't even have the decency to write it down in my notes. So you know what? Throw your tomatoes at me if I'm completely wrong about that. But the point is, $22 million over the next 5 years, that is crazy. And whatever team decides, or whatever team Damian Lillard decides he wants to go to, is basically getting a perennial all-star player slightly past his prime, coming off of a severe injury at basically no cost to them. And I think that is a perfect situation for any team that is looking to bolster their roster with a decent defensive and great three-point shooting guy who is, not a very disruptive player. In his time in Portland, there were trade rumors. He expressed frustration with the team, but for the longest time, Dame just kept his mouth shut and accepted the circumstances that had befallen him. And getting a past all-star who's past his prime on a really cheap deal, that is perfectly fine by any metric for any of these teams. So I am almost certain that this is a best case scenario for Damian Lillard and whatever team decides to pursue him and try and court Mr. Lillard into playing for them in the 2026-2027 season. Dame is, a few teams have expressed interest in Dame. I believe the Boston Celtics have come out and said that they're interested in signing him, although, like I said, Dame doesn't appear to be very eager to commit himself to another team yet. I think he's actually going to just be a loose cannon up until he is fully healthy and decides that he wants to come back into the league. So I think the two biggest teams that have kind of gunned for him early in this process are the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors. I think this would be a great pickup for Boston. I think Dame fits the mold that this team is trying to build, and especially for the potential of Derek White having to be traded or released next season due to how expensive his contract is. I think that there's a lot of potential for this team to bolster their roster by acquiring Dame on a very cheap deal. And now we got to get into some of the weirdness of this situation, which is Giannis's reaction to it all, because initial reports said that Giannis had no idea that Dame was going to be waived and that he was incredibly frustrated with the Milwaukee Bucks, which seems like it just exacerbated the problem of Giannis being frustrated with his own organization. But then other reports started coming out saying that Giannis knew the whole time, that the team consulted Giannis beforehand, and Giannis went on Twitter and went up in the media and acted as if he was very frustrated with the organization, And I don't know about you. I'm just thinking, what on earth is going on with Giannis right now? I can understand him being okay with them waiving Dame. You know, like, he's not going to be on the team next year. He still has that contract you got to pay out anyway. He's going to be coming back injured and pretty expensive. So whatever, bite the bullet, get as much of his, just get rid of him, and make way for a guy, you know, like Miles Turner. But why would he pretend to be upset about it then? If not to make people believe that the situation is now exacerbated and that Giannis might be out of Milwaukee. But then if Giannis is out of Milwaukee, why did the Bucks just spend $107 million bringing in Miles Turner? Miles Turner can't carry your franchise, dude. Miles Turner couldn't carry his own franchise. He was on that team for like 100 years. And he couldn't, and he needed to wait for a more talented player to come in and take the reins for him. Like, it's just so baffling, because if Giannis is happy and Giannis wants to stay in Milwaukee, then that explains the Miles Turner signing. But then it doesn't explain why he's putting on an angry front to the media right now. It's just, is it Giannis wanting to maintain his personal relationship with Dame? I have no idea. Point is, it is an incredibly confusing situation, and I'm sure you can see it on my face. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on right now with Giannis. So that is a situation that I'm going to keep monitoring. If anything else comes of it, I will be sure to let you know. And then let's just look at it from one more angle. The angle of Miles Turner deciding to go get a bag with Milwaukee instead of potentially sticking around with his baby. I mean, this team loves Miles Turner. Indiana loves Miles Turner. And he chose to go to his team's probably third or fourth biggest rival. Indiana is Milwaukee's biggest rival, but Milwaukee is probably Indiana's like third or fourth biggest rival. So Miles Turner decides to go and sign with his old team's worst nemesis and pretty much forego any chance of him winning a championship. I think with Halliburton potentially coming back late next season, I think that the Pacers were still in a prime position to potentially win a championship, or at least make it back. It's so strange. It's like he got there and then he left. The Bucks do have kind of a scary defense at this point, where, like, you know, they got Giannis, they got Miles Turner, who, you know, comes up big defensively. They got Bobby Portis. So all in all, I guess since the fact that Dame isn't playing next year, I guess overall Milwaukee did get better. But at the same time, it feels like the way that Giannis is handling the situation and the way that the Bucks are handling this situation are kind of antithetical to each other. Giannis is playing it as if he wants out of Milwaukee, like he's frustrated with the organization, like he's not happy with how they did Dame, how they handled the Dame situation. And that indicates to me, regardless of whether he liked the move or not, that Giannis still wants to make teams know that he is available to potentially be traded. But at the same time, I don't think Milwaukee would have gone and signed Miles Turner unless they were confident that they were going to be able to keep Giannis around. So, like I said, the whole situation is so confusing, and I just gotta say, I am so thankful that the Knicks did not end up trading for Giannis. I love Giannis. I think he's so much fun to watch. I think he is an incredibly entertaining, talented guy. I love Giannis to death. I would not want to be dealing with any of this nonsense that Giannis is bringing right now. And I know it's very cruel of me to say, considering that Giannis has kept his mouth shut for the better part of 12 years about this organization, which realistically has not always had his best interests at heart. But at the end of the day, he's given those boys a situation right now. And I'm glad that New York's name is not even being thrown around in the situation. Last thing before we go to break, I saw that the Knicks are potentially interested in speaking with Ben Simmons. If they do that, this is going to become a Brooklyn Nets show. No, I'm joking. Anyway, when we get back, we're talking a little bit more basketball, and then we got some crazy NFL news, so make sure you stick around. You're not going to want to miss it. Jake's Hot Takes, only on WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, I'm Mark Guido. For close to 60 years, the Guido family has been honored to serve the community and the wonderful people in it. Our mission has always been to serve the highest quality food and drink with the friendliest service at affordable prices. We promise to never depart from this goal. And at the same time, we're striving to meet your needs and changing tastes. Please join us at Frank Guido's Little Italy in Kingston, the #1 Italian restaurant in the Hudson Valley, or the Port of Call in Catskill, the area's most popular waterfront restaurant. And remember, your birthday dinner is on us. My dad, Frank, and I, along with our entire staff, want to thank you for your patronage, your loyalty, and especially your friendship. Please join us at Frank Guido's Little Italy in Kingston, the #1 Italian restaurant in the Hudson Valley, or the Port of Call in Catskill, the area's most popular waterfront restaurant. And remember, your birthday dinner is on us.
Frank Guido's Little Italy restaurant in Kingston and the Port of Call restaurant in Catskill, where your birthday dinner is on them up to a $30 value.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, is it bad to use fabric softener sheets?
More often than not, a fabric softener sheet helps keep the static down in your dryer. Most newer dryers, the lint screen is so fine that the oils in the fabric softener sheet actually plug up your lint screen. Reduces efficiency, causes overheating, causes the machine to kick off on high limit. So sometimes what you really want to do is not use dryer sheets. Use the same dryer sheet 2 or 3 times. Fabric softener in the washer is the better way to go. Most people don't realize that all the lint in your dryer actually comes from your washing machine. It's the agitating action that causes a problem where the clothing is scrubbing together and you end up with all the little pilling. And a fabric softener actually will help lessen the pilling if it's in the washing machine.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code YEAR to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jake's Hot Takes. Let's get right into it. Okay. So I got 2 more pieces of NBA news that I want to talk about real quick. I didn't get a chance to cover it last week because it was a developing story last week. The Houston Rockets are real now. They're a real basketball team now. They, of course, traded Jalen Green and a first-round pick for Kevin Durant, as well as acquiring Clint Capella and Dorian Finney-Smith. I think that I'm going to go through this real quick, but I think that these guys bring a lot of value to the team. KD in the sense of veteran leadership, Dorian Finney-Smith in his defensive prowess, and Clint Capella in his rim protection ability. I think all 3 of these guys bring something. Bring something unique to this Houston Rockets team. And I think Houston is going to be a very scary force in the West next year. They got a young core, a lot of homegrown talent that they had put together, and now they brought in some guys from out in the world, and all of a sudden they look very scary. Now, let's talk about SGA's contract situation. SGA earns himself a 4-year, $285 million contract, making him the highest paid player in the NBA and probably the richest person in Oklahoma. This guy got himself a bag, and why wouldn't he? Honestly, he had probably the best individual season that we've seen out of a player in a very long time. All NBA, scoring champion, MVP, finals MVP, won the championship. Like, this guy basically just did it all in one go. So Oklahoma has given him that 4-year supermax, $285 million contract. And Shea is going to be swimming in it, man, because if he continues his play, he has a very safe play style to the point where I could see Shea playing another, 8, 10 years. And he is going to collect a lot of money over that time because in 4 years, if he's still playing as good as he's playing right now, he's going to get another Supermax deal, and it's going to be even more money. So this guy, Shea, he's going to be absolutely swimming in it. But the real question is, how will this impact the rest of the team? How is this going to impact Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams, J-Dub? Those are probably the two most important guys to this OKC roster outside of Shea. So it begs the question, what next for these guys? Obviously, they got, I think, 2 more years of contract 2 more years of Chet before they need to start negotiating contracts. And I actually don't know how much longer J-Dub is signed for. But the point is, there is a possibility that we see some of these pieces that OKC once had access to get moved around. And granted, while I think the move is absolutely warranted, OKC better have a lot of faith that Shea is going to be the guy that can elevate you and bring you to that next level. Because honestly, here's my hot take. I'm not sure if Shea can be that guy, especially across the playoffs. We saw it plenty of times during the regular season, but there were a lot of playoff games where he either played completely average or he disappeared in very crucial moments. So yes, did he have one of the best individual seasons of all time? Absolutely. Does it warrant a Supermax contract? Yeah, that's probably what you got to pay to keep him around at this point. But I wouldn't feel as secure in my position right now if I'm an OKC fan. Not for next season. I think Oklahoma City is going to be fine next year. But in the coming years after that, who knows what could happen? It probably means saying goodbye to some of the more quality bench pieces, guys like Caruso, guys like Hartenstein. Probably relies on drafting some young talent, which OKC has plenty of draft picks. I think they have like 13 draft picks, first-round draft picks to their name right now. So as long as they can continue to draft talent and they don't get too attached to some of these role players, I think OKC is going to be completely fine. But, it is kind of a scary situation paying a guy that much money because it means now you don't have that money available to you. And obviously that's what that means, but paying a guy a lot of money is a double-edged sword. Yes, you have your guy on lock for the next 4 years, but now everybody else's future, unless they're signed long-term, everybody else's future is kind of up in the air right now. So, interesting situation out of Oklahoma City. I will keep you guys updated on that. Let's talk Steelers and Dolphins. Minkah Fitzpatrick has been traded back home to the Miami Dolphins for Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, and a 2027 7th-round pick. Steelers also traded a 2027 5th-round pick. This has been the biggest trade of the offseason so far. Obviously, Minkah Fitzpatrick, a previous All-Pro safety, Jalen Ramsey, previous All-Pro cornerback, Jonnu Smith, probably he hasn't really done anything yet, but he's good. He had a good season with Miami last year. On the Steelers side, you lost the brain of your defense because as good as TJ Watt is, he's not the brain of that defense. Minkah Fitzpatrick is the brain of that defense, and they lost him. So I think Pittsburgh's defense is going to take a bit of a step back, seeing as while Ramsey is very talented and very smart, he is also very old. So Pittsburgh is now in a situation where they are kind of, at the mercy of whether or not Jalen Ramsey is going to be able to fit the bill for them. I also don't really understand acquiring Jonnu Smith as they have Pat Freiermuth. So, why are we I understand giving Aaron Rodgers a myriad of targets to throw to, but more tight ends, really? And I love tight ends, but Muth and Jonnu just seem like they are, they occupy too similar of a role. It's not even like a Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely situation where one is taking over for the other, or, you're dampening Andrews' role in the offense. It's just a strange situation because I just don't think that the Dolphins, should have given up Jonnu, and I don't think the Steelers really needed Jonnu. So now the question is, why move Jonnu? Answer, they needed a little more from Minkah Fitzpatrick. It's uncertain how long Jalen Ramsey is still going to be productive for. The reality of the situation is he might already be kind of past the point of being Jalen Ramsey. He's obviously past his prime, but he might come into Pittsburgh this year and be bad. And I think that's a situation that Pittsburgh fans need to prepare themselves for. I mean, you know, if this team had been put together 5 years ago, it would have been insane. You would have had Rodgers off an MVP season. You would have had DK off a Pro Bowl season. You would have had Jalen Ramsey, I believe, off an All-Pro season in LA. Correct me if I'm wrong about that down in the comments below. But all in all, it's like now all these guys are just kind of old, and DK just hasn't really been all that good. But point is, on the Dolphins side, you get Minkah Fitzpatrick back, so welcome home, Minkah. And that's kind of really it. You get a better safety. I mean, they lost Javon Holland to the Giants this offseason. So it absolutely was a role that needed to be filled. And considering they still have Xavier Howard, I think they still have Xavier Howard. I'll check in the commercial break. I'll correct myself if they don't have Xavier Howard anymore. Point is, the Dolphins don't really have a defensive back core that is going to be incredibly bolstered by Minkah Fitzpatrick. It's like the only situation where I would see it being smart to bring Fitzpatrick in is if you have a bunch of young guys and you need that veteran leadership, that guy that can keep all the young up and coming players in order and teach them a thing or two about defense. But from what I see, a lot of the Dolphins cornerbacks are veteran guys. They're not like rookies. They're not young. So what exactly is Miami's plan here? Minkah doesn't elevate them. He doesn't bring them up to that. And I want to go over some of the biggest winners and losers. Obviously, a big winner of this trade is Jalen Ramsey, because this is probably the last time he is ever going to be relevant. So, big ups to Jalen. I didn't think he had it in him. And whoever the backup tight end for Miami is, he's probably the second biggest winner, which I had written that earlier, and then I found out later that it's Darren Waller. Darren Waller came out of retirement to join the Miami Dolphins. So I don't even know. We've completely lost the plot. We've lost the plot. Why is Darren Waller coming out of retirement? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just, my initial thought was, oh, big ups to Durham Smythe. No, Durham Smythe's a Chicago Bear now. He's playing with Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet. So we're never going to hear a Durham Smythe again. We could have heard of him more if he was still playing in Miami now that Jonu's gone. But, man, whatever. The biggest losers from this trade, I would say Jonu. He has to play second fiddle to Pat Freiermuth now. Not always a super fun situation to be in, not being the primary target at your position, especially when that was your reality last year. Pat Freiermuth has to split reps with Jonu now. I'm sure these two guys are not happy to be on the same offense together. I mean, I'm sure they're fine with it, but for their production, I think it's going to take a negative hit. Tua just lost his most reliable short-range target. You could say it's Tyreek. I would say otherwise. I think Tyreek in the short range is very prone to getting pushed around by cornerbacks, and he does have a slight drops problem. Second most reliable target, absolutely. But in the short range, I think Jonu was his most reliable target across last season. Miami and Pittsburgh are my last biggest losers out of this trade, and it's for the simple reason that neither of them got any closer to winning a championship. And that's the truth. This move, as big as it is, as many big names got moved around, as much of a situation as it is, these two teams did not get any closer to winning a championship. And I think that if your move does not put you in a position to get closer to winning a championship, whether it be acquiring assets, whether it be acquiring a superstar, whether it be filling a hole on your team that needs to be filled, neither of these teams have gotten any better. My predictions for them remain exactly the same, regardless of Minkah's status, regardless of Ramsey's status, and regardless of Jonu's status. At the end of the day, nothing has changed for these teams. When we get back, I'm going to be doing a little bit of NBA playoff predictions for next season, so make sure you stick around. I got a couple freaky, crazy ones that you're not going to be expecting, so stay right here. Jake's Hot Takes, WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. We'll be right back after this.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, what makes my oven smell so bad when I self-clean?
Ah, self-clean, my favorite weapon in the world. Self-cleaning is a brutal environment. Most people don't think about it. They hear self-clean. I'm not really sure if they're picturing scrubbing bubbles inside there, scrubbing, but what's really happening is we're heating the oven up hot enough to carbonize protein. We're going to take the food stuff that's left in your stove, and we're actually going to carbonize it. We're going to turn it to dust. So we're 700 degrees. So why does it smell bad? You're setting fire to a chicken. Today, a lot of the new stoves, because of the energy guidelines, there is no real self-clean anymore. They don't want those high temperatures. It's a huge waste of energy. It's very easy. You don't have to get on your hands and knees and your back doesn't hurt. You're not scrubbing a stove, but we use a ton of energy to clean the inside of that stove by heating it up.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
Your life relies on power all day, every day. With summer upon us, weather-related storms and power outages disrupt your home life, work life, and more. Don't be left in the dark. Call Essentia Power Systems, your local Generac automatic standby power dealer, protecting your family, home, and business. Already have a Generac? Ask about maintenance and monitors. Call Mike, the generator guy, for a free estimate. 845-227-0514. Online, EssentialPowerGenerators.com. Never be powerless. Get Generac by Essential Power Systems. You've long known that Newburgh Auto Spa on Route 17K utilizes top caliber products and the latest technology to give your vehicle the proper maintenance it needs. Whether it be a computerized soft cloth car wash, detailing consisting of a comprehensive bumper-to-bumper cleaning of your entire interior and exterior, or a fuel-efficient oil change from a trained technician, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Now, Newburgh Auto Spa is a full-service automotive center. That's right, Newburgh Auto Spa now offers tires, brakes, rotors, tune-ups, alternators, and more, all with the same professionalism and quality you've become accustomed to. For a full list of automotive services offered in specials, go to NewburghAutospa.com. Whether you need a basic car wash, a quick oil change, or now more extensive automotive service, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean, located at 86 Route 17K and online at NewburghAutospa.com. Now offering a full range of automotive services. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean.
Davis Furniture in Poughkeepsie is having a floor model clearance sale, up to 70% off. That's right, Davis Furniture needs to make room for new arrivals and is having a floor model clearance sale with up to 70% off. At Davis Furniture on Route 9 in Poughkeepsie, all their furniture is American-made and chemical-free. You and your family deserve the Davis Furniture difference and a healthier life. DavisFurnitureOnline.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Well, it's time to start making predictions for next season. Now that the NBA season has come to a conclusion, I am going to be predicting the top 5 seeds in either conference for next season. And let's start off with the West, all right? Let's get right into it. I believe the 5th seed in the West is going to be the Dallas Mavericks. I know that I have criticized this team very heavily in the past for very poor management decisions. Obviously, Luka was a terrible trade, but at the end of the day, they got Cooper Flagg. They got the first overall pick. They're back in business. They got Cooper Flagg and Kyrie and AD and Klay Thompson, who the latter 3 guys I think are still absolutely good enough to be productive and contribute to a winning team. I don't think Klay is too old to play basketball. I don't think AD is too old to play basketball. Injuries is the one thing that I could really see derailing this team, but all in all, I got faith they're going to make a big splash this year. In the same vein as a new up-and-coming team, at the 4 seed, I got the San Antonio Spurs. They've got this newly constructed big 4 of Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, and Dylan Harper now. All 4 of those guys exhibit very high caliber two-way basketball play. They can play well on offense. They can play well on defense. I think Wemby's injury last year really derailed the team. But now at this point, I think if you just had Fox and Castle and Harper, this team would already be in playoff contention, probably as a play-in team, but still be very good and very entertaining to watch. And now you just add Wemby, Victor Wembanyama, And all of a sudden, this team is kind of insane, and I'm pretty excited to see what they do next season. At the 3 seed in the West, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a team with lots of championship experience, pretty much bringing back their entire core as of now. They're keeping all the important guys. They got Ant, they got Gobert, they got the star power in Ant and Gobert, and then they got the role playing in Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. And, they're losing Mike Conley. But they still got Jaden McDaniel. All in all, I see no reason why this Minnesota team shouldn't be in the mix again next year. Who knows? It might even be their year next year. At the number 2 seed, I actually have the Rockets repeating at their second seed, but this is going to be a very different Rockets team. I think that this team can go toe-to-toe with the Oklahoma City Thunder, as well as going toe-to-toe with pretty much any basketball team in the NBA right now. They have so much improvement across the board in terms of their acquisitions. They have a guy who knows what it takes to win a championship in KD, which is very important. And they have a young superstar in Amen Thompson, who I think is going to take a leap, especially with a guy like KD mentoring him. Thompson has displayed the ability to be a high caliber superstar. He is a freak athlete, and I see no reason why he shouldn't progress into the star of this team moving forward next season. Now, the final team, the 1 seed in the West, of course, it's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have shown me nothing that leads me to believe that they wouldn't be. That's kind of where I'm at. The Oklahoma City Thunder have bought themselves enough clout to the point where I cannot justify a single good reason to not assume that they're going to win the West next year. So they're bringing back Shea, they're bringing back Chet, they're bringing back J-Dub. I mean, what more do you want from me? What, you want me to say something else? Come on. It's not like the show's called Jake's Hot Takes. You know what? Rockets are going to be the first seed in the West next year. That's my take. I'm switching it up right now. I'm confident enough. OKC did not buy enough clout. The Rockets are winning the West next year. Just you wait and see. Let's get into the East now. At the 5 seed, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that this team, from a defensive standpoint, is incredibly scary. The aforementioned Giannis, Miles Turner, Bobby Portis. I think those 3 guys alone bring a monstrous defensive presence to this team. And they have Giannis, and I see no reason why a team with Giannis should not be competitive in the playoffs. They're probably a first round out, all things considered, but, that's life. At the 4 seed, I have the Pacers. This is assuming that Halliburton comes back from injury late in the season. I think they can absolutely make a late season push into the playoffs. If Halliburton is out for the entirety of next season, move the Bucks up to the 4 seed, put the Detroit Pistons down in that 5 seed. Obviously, this team is going to struggle a lot without Halliburton, but all in all, I think that they have the roster construction necessary. They have high caliber scorers. They have great defenders. They have pretty much everything they need, aside from a traditional center, which they absolutely need. DeAndre Ayton is not on the market anymore. He just went to LA. So that is the one thing that I could really see holding the Pacers roster back. But assuming Halliburton comes back, this team has such an identity. This team plays with such a pace, with such an energy, that I see pretty much no reason as to why they shouldn't be in playoff contention again next year. And like I said, if Halliburton doesn't return from injury next season and he takes the entirety of next year off to recover, move the Bucks up to that 4 seed and move the Detroit Pistons up into that 5 seed. It's crazy how much better the West is than the East next season. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, great for us. At the 3 seed, I have the Orlando Magic. The acquisition of Desmond Bane, I think, is going to give them a huge boost in terms of scoring and even in terms of defense in some capacity. I'm expecting Paolo Banchero to take that next step, and I am also expecting Franz Wagner to kind of take that next step. Not necessarily superstar level. I'm not expecting him to be as good as Paolo, but I'm assuming that he's going to improve next season. And I think that with these 3 guys, Paolo, kind of that muscle bully ball type, Wagner, more of a calm facilitator type, and Desmond Bane with just that lethal jumper, I think that this team is going to be an incredibly entertaining watch next season, and I think that they're going to climb their way up into that 3 seed, really be in the mix for a championship. Although I do kind of think they're going to be like the Rockets last year, where yes, they're going to have an impressive regular season, but they're just not going to have the gel, the bonds, the strengths, the roster construction to really make a deep playoff run, especially in the face of, New York and Cleveland, who, if you couldn't guess, Cleveland is the number 2 seed. Incredibly talented roster. Donovan Mitchell does his thing pretty much day in and day out, except for when he doesn't. They're going to be, Evan Mobley is going to be returning from injury. Darius Garland is going to be returning from injury. Garland was dealing with some injuries during their series against the Pacers, and I believe Mobley did not get on the court for any of those games. Point is, this was a roster that was kind of crippled last year. They had a phenomenal regular season, just really dunking on teams. So, like I said, they're keeping most of their roster together. They just acquired Lonzo Ball. So, yeah, they got better. They got better this offseason, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now. And, of course, at the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, I am predicting your New York Knicks to get to the top of the mountain and finally assert themselves as the best team in the Eastern Conference. They have the deepest playoff run under their belt, aside from Indiana, who we just established is going to be going a decent majority of the season without Tyrese Halliburton. They have, pound for pound, the best starting 5 in the NBA. Plain and simple. There is no starting 5 in the NBA that is more talented than the New York Knicks. And with Mike Brown leading the charge, and a new culture and a new way of doing things, our third eye has been opened to all the things that this roster can do, which, a lot of the holdups that we had about this roster in the regular season got proven wrong. We said that they couldn't play that muscle ball. We said that they were soft, and then they came out and they were tough, and they got through that Boston Celtics team and that tough Detroit Pistons team. And, we said that the bench depth was going to be an issue. And then when DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet got a chance, they came out and proved it. And now we're bolstering the bench even more with guys like Jordan Clarkson and, Gershon Yabusele. Can't believe I remembered that name. It's going to take a while to stick in the head. But we signed guys like Jordan Clarkson and Gershon Yabusele. We have the experience. We have the roster. Now we have the bench. And now we have the coach. I think it is going to easily go the New York Knicks' way, and I believe they are going to get to the mountaintop and be that 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Not only that, I think they're going all the way to the finals next year, baby. I think we're going to be seeing your New York Knicks playing in the finals. This is truly the best we've seen out of this team probably since the 90s. And I am so ecstatic to see where this team goes next year. I know I spoke a little longer-winded about the Knicks than the rest of these teams. I wonder why. But that is pretty much all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening. I have been Jake McVey. Cue the music. There you go. I have been Jake McVey. You have been absolutely wonderful. We are not going to be having a Sunday edition next week. I am going on vacation. I will miss you all very dearly. So make sure you tune in 2 Sundays from now. Hopefully we'll have another interview on deck. And we'll be getting it going. This has been Jake's Hot Takes. I've been Jake. You have been listening to The Hot Takes. Thanks for listening. Jake's Hot Takes, WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. Thanks for listening. Bye.
WGNY Newburgh, WJGK HD2 Newburgh Middletown, WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports.